It's over!
It's over! It's over! That's what I'm saying, boy!
Oh!
He got dropped!
It's over! It's over! Munoz! Oh my God!
The second fight on the UFC pay-per-view this weekend, UFC 294, shows a basic newcomer at only 24 years old. Victoria Dudakova takes on Jinh Yu Frey in the second fight at strawweight. This card is actually filled with a lot of favorites. There's only 2 fights featured on the whole card that doesn't have a 2-1 or greater favorite in the matchup. Jinh Yu Frey is on the brink of probably her UFC career, in my opinion, with 3 straight losses headed into the bout, and she'll get no favors welcoming a UFC newcomer again, not debuting, but she's only had 1 fight in the UFC and her Contender Series performance in undefeated Victoria Dudakova. Victoria's game plan is simple in most of her fights. A born athlete and a master of sports and swimming at a very young age, she switched to MMA and she found inspiration in watching mixed martial arts as a child, and her favorite fighter was Ronda Rousey, and she kind of modeled her game after her. She's an all-around mixed martial artist with better striking than Ronda, but she does focus on the wrestling. She only uses her stand-up to punch herself into the clinch, and that's where she loves to be. Her strength for the strawweight division, again, is very impressive. Dudakova has had 4 submissions on the regional scene and has been victorious in a decision and a free arm injury in her UFC debut. She actually shocked Contender Series fans and her opponent in the Contender Series as, again, a 2-1 underdog against a 3-1 favorite, having a total of 4.5 minutes of control in both the first round and the third round, even suffering a knee injury going into the third round. She was able to rack up 4 minutes and 45 seconds of control time in that third and final round. Again, she punches her way into the clinch or stand-up. We haven't seen much of it in the UFC, but when she does use it, it's always to start rounds, and she's quick to get into the clinch against most of the opponents she's fought right now. And once she gets in, she uses her strength to clinch, and then she uses her takedown ability to get fights to the ground. And we saw in her Contender Series fight, which lasted a lot longer than her UFC debut, she was able to take her opponent down at will, even as a massive underdog, even fighting a girl who was a much better striker. Her UFC debut, on the other hand, again, was a freak injury to her opponent, and Dudakovan's first takedown attempt of the fight in literally the first couple seconds of the fight, so we can't look at that. Her biggest negative, in my opinion, is her lapses in judgment sometimes when she's in the clinch, letting herself fall back, maybe going for a toss. She puts herself in bad positions, like we saw in the second round of her Contender Series fight. But if she fights smart in this one, she should rack up minutes of control time and have a pretty dominant looking decision, in my opinion. Jinh Yu Frey, on the other hand, is 14 years older and giving up both a height and reach advantage in the fight. Frey will represent Invicta as a former strawweight champion back in the day, and she also has, surprisingly, the highest takedown defense in the strawweight division. So another matter of great matchmaking by the UFC, putting Dudakova against a well-matched, more experienced opponent in her first fight. But I do think the odds kind of line up with how I think this fight is going to go. Victoria by unanimous decision at -395. The odds makers are kind of favoring that as well. But again, a well-rounded opponent in Jinh Yu Frey, who's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt. So you could see her maybe performing well in this spot as an underdog, maybe winning a round and making it a close decision. Maybe you have a judge flip and she wins, but I doubt that. And it's not worth me putting my money on somebody like that when I don't actually think she really has a great chance of winning the fight. Probably maybe 15 to 20% implied, in my opinion, where the odds don't reflect it. But that'll do it for my breakdown of this video. We will keep an eye out. I want to let you guys know to keep an eye out on the pinned comment, because I will place any leans or bets there as the week goes on, because we will get some fighter props for these events later on in the week. And we might be looking at a Dudakova 2+ takedowns maybe, if Bet365 offers some fighter props and maybe an over, depending on what the lines are saying. But that'll do it today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.